Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Strange Antiquities. As today we settle into day 10, Saturday. Another rainy day in Undermere, though I think as we've seen, the true storm still yet looms. But you know what, we got our cat back, so I can't really complain, even if it did cause us some potential long-term complications with the local doctor. But, you know, we'll see how that plays out. Deal with things as they come. Starting, I think, with what's already in the cards. Below a moon that does not shine, there is no mark upon my shrine. In the dark, but not alone, my neighbor bears a cross of stone. I find the blank tombstone without too much trouble, but there is nothing else here. Feeling foolish, I begin to make my way back to the surface when suddenly I see it. Tucked away in a natural crack in the rock wall. A stone totem. This is what I came for. Oh no, I think they killed Kenny. Whoever that is. Simple stone idol with gold detailing, pitted texture, nothing else of note. No real clue as to what that one might be. We'll just set it aside for now. Though you may note that I have tentatively labeled a few other items that seem like pretty sure things, based on their assorted entries. Next, Katherine Walpole. I have traveled a long way, searching for an eye of the forest. I have read stories of the Dreher of old who would hunt in partnership with an eagle, seeing what they see, soaring on the wind. I intend to rekindle this lost custom. Perhaps you know something about it. Eye of Cernunnos. Well, we do have an eye. Eye of Cernunnos. Also known as the Eyes of the Forest, these ancient artifacts enabled one to enter the minds of lesser creatures. It is alleged that Cernunnos himself wielded an eye. Eyes of Cernunnos are hard to come by. They are powerful and should not be used carelessly. Interesting. No real descriptors there, aside from association with Cernunnos and some general references to eyes, which does immediately make me think of the eye amulet, but that doesn't really feel like a Cernunnos sort of thing. And I guess Jupiter doesn't really make an ideal test subject since he's obviously not a lesser creature. Suppose I could test it on the customer instead. Hold on, let me check something. Oh yeah, look at that. We've got multiple artifacts visible in this picture, though my eye is immediately drawn to this staff. But we should also make note of the belt and I guess possibly the snake, though that's a bit far-fetched. But that staff very much resembles something we've currently got on our shelf. This one right here, despite being sawed off and mounted, it's like a desk mic versus a full standing mic. And there we go. Oh wow, and yeah, they even expected us to use that illustration. Though the gem was also a clue, since a jade is a stone of nature, which I didn't even think about, though I don't think that by itself would have been enough. Which nets us Zephyrim, a resonant object that gives off a faint odor familiar to thaumaturge. The scent of magic. When these vapors are inhaled, they can unlock deep wells of anger and channel them into a powerful maelstrom. Noted. So basically our big clue there is it's something that smells like a storm. The looming storm. Feel like everything would smell like that right now, but sure. Noted. And then this, man, yes, so this does seem to confirm that we're now at the stage where we have to look at associated objects to potentially identify the ones we're actually being asked about. Though, to be fair, we'd already kind of done that with the bone mask. Though in that case, it was because we were actually missing the appropriate article. Since rectified. Boo. I was kind of hoping that would work. Hey, buddy. Next. David Chafer, the mailman. I was expecting to talk with Verona Green this morning, but she wasn't at home. Unusual for her. I hope she's okay. Yeah, me too. Though, now that you've brought it up, I'm going to say probably not. Man, it would suck if something happened to Verona after she survived the events of the first game. Though that would establish stakes. If you can spare the time, we'd appreciate your help. There's something unusual in our house. You can't miss us. We're the only detached house on Ruskin. Warmest regards, Mrs. R. Bream. Ruskin Bream. Seems pretty straightforward. Just need to look for a road named Ruskin, which is right here. And there's our single detached. I am greeted by a tired-looking middle-aged woman who immediately offers me tea. I gratefully accept, enjoying the social ritual before we meander towards the point of my visit. She leads me up the stairs and into the attic. A single small window does little to dispel the gloom, but our eyes slowly adjust. Then we hear the voices. At first, I think it's the house creaking in the wind. Soft, murmuring groans that seem to come from the walls themselves. But then I start to feel as though a conversation is happening, too quiet to make any sense of. Well, gosh, what do we do? I might be able to bat around an idea or two. With the hearing charm, I suddenly find myself able to pick up every small sound without difficulty. The whispered voices become clearer, and my heart beats faster as I hear what they are saying. They are discussing a section of the wall where some of the bricks are loose. Carefully, I pull them away to reveal a small cavity. Inside, to my horror, is a human skull, its dark eyes staring lifelessly back at me. At the insistence of the voices, I reach inside the cavity, and my hand closes around an unusual-looking item. Immediately, the voices fall silent, and my heightened senses are left with the whooshing drumbeat of the blood being pumped around my body. Okay, cool. I mean, we'll just ignore the fact that we might be taking evidence from a murder site, but, we got a new amulet, I guess. I'm sure that's fine. What happens in Undermere stays in Undermere. Next. Grenville Pearce. My father's sword has a space in the hilt where a shimmer should go, but he sold it to buy whiskey a long time ago. For whatever reason, he never did sell the sword itself. I wanted to restore it to its former glory. A shimmer, you say? Well, I'm actually pretty sure we've got that ID'd, but let's have a peek. Shimmer. These belong to a series of objects that were designed to slot into armor or weaponry. They induce calm rage in the face of the unimaginable horrors of battle, allowing the bearer to stay one step ahead. The Knight of Thorns famously wore a shimmer on his chestplate. but it didn't save him from being slain in the Battle of Souther Fell of 1356. Armor worn by the Knight of Thorns, with a very distinctive outline on the chest, which just happens to match one of the amulets we currently have on display. This one right here. But, you know, just to be sure, let's get a gander at those gems. We've got pale yellow, dark green, and black. Dark green, malachite, a stone of sight, obsidian, a stone of fire and fury, and topaz, a stone of strength, which I think does clinch it. Here you go, sir. Nice. The pendant would fit in the slot as shown. The topaz and obsidian hint at calm rage, whereas the malachite suggests foresight or staying one step ahead. Fair enough, I didn't catch that last one. Babelia. The meaning of the unusual markings on a babelia is not clear. They resemble a mentic field pattern, but the items themselves do not produce a mentic field. They can be used to aid with the translation of foreign texts, although they require some skill to make full use of. This ability does not transfer to spoken languages. Interesting. A pattern resembling a mentic field. Not sure that really describes anything we've currently got on display. I mean, the gem pattern on some items, I suppose? Though that might be a bit of a stretch. Oh, getting so crowded over here. Might have to get more stringent about which items I mark as potentially dangerous, and I can file them off left instead. Next. Freddie Lamb. I work at the steel mill in Keswick, and I don't think there's a one of us that ain't suffered a nasty burn. Do you have anything that can protect against that sort of thing? Well, you know what? It turns out I do. But, just to be absolutely sure. Made from basilisk scales, allows the bearer to withstand fire and flame. Definitely sounds like what we're looking for. The item I've tentatively tagged over here does bear a scaly pattern, as well as orange and black gemstones, and obsidian we know is a stone of fire and fury. Whereas the orange would potentially be... Huh. Oh, amber, the sunstone. Sometimes they're orange. So yeah, I'd say that pretty much clinches it. Here you go. Stay cool out there. So yes, the scales and the gems, those were our big clues. Nice to get an easy one every so often. Solemn Mether. Mether? Mether. Mether. Of the three types of Mether, the solemn variety is considered the most powerful, permits the drinker to forge pathways in the mind, to recall that which has been forgotten, or to repair that which has been broken, produces a noticeably stronger thermic field than the other two, which would imply the 3 cups we have. Oh. Thanks. My wife will be relieved. Hey, I found this down the side of the counter here just now while I was waiting. Don't know if it's anything important or not. Okay. Thanks, Mr. Lamb. Sorry, I'm just not used to people talking to me after I give them what they asked for. And yes, we know exactly what this is. That is very important. But as I was saying before, so I don't forget, I do believe these are our 3 methers, and we now have a clue as to how to identify a second one, once we're ready to dive into the whole thaumic field thing. And as for this, we just slot it in here, and there we go. Oh, well, speaking of thaumic lenses, it would seem we've literally just stumbled onto it. Nope. Oh boy. Okay, well, this feels kind of complicated, but we can at least see... I mean, we do get some initial readings. I just have no idea what these are all about. But, you know, rather than hold us up on that right now, we'll, yeah, I'm not seeing any immediate obvious explanations there, but, rather than hold us up on that now, I'll study that between episodes, perhaps, so I have a better idea of what we're doing with it. For now, we push on. Audrey Bell, the Priestess. Judgment is coming. We worship the warrior not out of love, but because he is powerful, because he demands our fear. What use is a god that you are not afraid of? Those of us who have read Holgar's teachings have known about the prophecy for a long time. And now, the casket will finally be opened. It contains his final lesson for those who will not kneel. It contains his retribution against the sinful. It contains his divine rage. My preparations are underway to celebrate his wrath and prove our devotion. For now, a veiled fen is all I require. You know, ma'am, I've got to say, I'm starting to have some concerns about you, and I feel like I really shouldn't be indulging your requests, but apparently I don't have much choice, so let's see. A veiled fen is brightly colored in the light, but it clouds over after a short period in total darkness. Used for public speaking. Right, but we never really found anything that I would deem brightly colored, not that we haven't already ID'd as something else anyway. Outside of, I suppose, the house plants. Though it would be cute if it turned out the plants were, in fact, artifacts. Clouds over. That would imply something with like a reflective surface. A gem or glass, perhaps. I mean, I guess this is pretty bright. Let's, yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and try tossing this in a drawer, see what happens. Also, it does have a thaumic field. Not that that means anything to us at the moment. Sorry, ma'am. Just a moment. Currently keeping my findings in the dark. But have no fear, for soon it will be brought to light. Okay, well, I'm going to say that didn't cloud over. So what else could it be? I mean, I suppose it is possible that there's something else we've missed. Some other side quest or secret we were meant to have unlocked by now. Like this. We do have access to thaumic fields now. So you know what? I think we're going to have to hit the pause button real quick whilst I start cycling all of our objects over that lens. Alright, give me a sec. And we're back. As you can see, I've got a combination of items here that do work. Though I will stress, apparently it's not the only combination. Oh, sorry, ma'am. Right back. But, yes, apparently it's not a unique combination of 3 items we needed. It's any 3 items that just happen to have the matching thaumic fields. Since several of the items we have do have identical fields. Which I guess is a type of thaumic field. We don't have like a book or a note or anything telling us what the different fields look like, so for now I'm just kind of working on guesswork there. Yeah, that's fine. Which means we're done with that. And also, I did find our veiled fen. It was not inside that secret compartment, but rather, it was one of the items we did have on display. And yes, it was staring us right in the face all along. Not something I'd say is great for public speaking, but I guess it would at the very least help you maintain eye contact. And it does seem like something that's appropriate for what does seem to be our resident cult leader. Veiled fen. When placed in darkness, the eye likewise darkens. Yeah, see, because it was green, I was assuming it was a gem of nature, like the eye of Cernunnos. Which nets us witherance, the inverse of a fortinance, sometimes put to more malicious use. Can be crafted of stone, but wood is more common. And end of day. Which actually puts us at pretty good time. I think we can do one more. Fortinance. Do we have Fortinance ID'd? I don't think we do. That's the one that enhances physical health, I think. Implied to be made of stone, so I can see at least a few likely culprits. Night, Jupiter. Stay safe, bud. End of day 10. The 2 men fought as the heavens opened and lightning flashed across the night. One man wrested the casket from the other's grasp and leapt astride his horse, galloping off into the cold, wet darkness. Though I do note it does not specify which man escaped with the casket. That is a very crucial detail. Almost kind of looks like the shimmer. Though, oh wait, no, okay, I think I see. Day 11. Sunday. Another rainy day in Undermere. Morning, Jupiter. And yes, regarding our dream card, I believe that is meant to be 3 distinct building segments, equidistantly spaced around whatever spot we're meant to search. The trick being finding the right buildings. One with a slot, one that looks like the teeth on a key, one slightly crooked building amongst others. There, just off Market Avenue. Yeah, they got tricky on that one. They slightly rotated it, like, I don't know, 30 degrees. So if that's the first, then there's our key teeth. And there's our crooked house. So if we're going in between those, we are going right here. Oh, goodness. Don't like that. No, nope. Nope. Okay, well, oh, hold on. I didn't want to look closer. There we go. When I draw back the curtain, I am unable to control my exclamation of horror. Behind the dark red velvet is a silent, squirming, seething mass of eyes, all shiny and wet and alive. Fear takes hold before my mind catches up and I understand what I am looking at. And when I do, I realize that it is looking right back at me. The object I am looking for sits on a small shelf below, and the eyes watch as I snatch it and get out of there as fast as I can. Aw, well, I mean, you know what? That's actually pretty cute. Despite the horrific environs in which it was found. And I suppose the gaping hole where its eye should be. Made of stone, so that might be our fortnance. Though we also have this symbol, which looks kind of like an ankh. I feel like we've seen that symbol before. Just trying to remember what context it might have been. Actually, you know what? We've got a reference book. Why don't we just look that up? See what it actually means. Looks like an ankh. Oh, right there. Well, sort of. That's... Oh, okay. You know what? It's an inverted poison symbol, i.e. an antidote. Which means it's probably that charm we read about earlier that the paranoid king would always put in his goblet to ward off poison. That does make sense. It's a fairly small charm. I could see it fitting into a goblet. Though it doesn't explain why we would find it on a stage full of living eyeballs. Which I guess we could maybe just chalk up to general Undermirian weirdness, I suppose. This is a bit of an esoteric town. There it is. Right, Bones Guard. Took a few tries to find it, but yes, the only identifier we had on that one was that it was small enough to fit into a goblet, and bears the mark of the antidote. Which this must be. We'll go ahead and label it with a question mark for now. But we know where it is, if someone should ask. Next. Sarah Barrington. We think we finally found the wreck of the Orion out on the lake. Sadly, our funding has run out and we can't afford expensive diving equipment. But we put our heads together and wondered if there was another way. You're our last hope. Taking a dive, eh? I think I can help with that. If I can remember what the item is actually called. There we go. The ascus. An ascus allows the bearer to breathe underwater. The sensation is said to be most unusual, since it requires one to not breathe at all. Those that use an ascus for extended periods sometimes forget to breathe once they are back on dry land, and subsequently pass out. The core of the item is cold to the touch, but the ring, sometimes called the halo, stays warm. Okay, so something with a ring, possibly aquatic-themed, with a tangible temperature discrepancy. Not quite a ring, but I could see this being described as a halo. Though it is uniformly cool to the touch, and the trio of different gems does seem to imply it's something else. Definite ring there, but I'm going to say that's probably not it. Though it does raise the possibility that the ring might be something that's not visually obvious. Like this right here. You know what? I'm going to say that might actually be it. Water droplet shape, likely glass or aquamarine. Cool and smooth to the touch, with a surprisingly warm ring. Yes. Not sure that is actually aquamarine, but either way, I think it's a pretty safe bet. Here you go, Miss Barrington. Just remember to breathe. Nice. Yeah, I almost wouldn't have registered that as a ring if we hadn't just looked at the hand. Gaudian Siren. Similar in form to thaumic needles, Gaudian sirens serve a very different purpose. They create a strong compulsion like a siren's call, which can be used to divert attention. Though I am more interested in that illustration. Let me just get this squared away real quick, and then we'll peek at that picture all proper-like. Gaudian Siren. A display of Gaudian objects at the Museum of History in Undermere. My goodness, that is a fairly wide variety. Though if I had to guess, I'd say that's probably our Gaudian needle. And at a glance, I'm going to say that we see at least a couple of items here that look pretty similar to things we have in our restricted section. The wooden figurine, the bird skull. Yeah, we've actually got 2 wood figurines up there. Though just the one bird skull, which might make it a safer bet. Moot point right now, though, until we figure out how to crack that thing open. Next. Rowena Hardwick. I am close, but I need more power. I need St. Cedric's thunder, and quickly, while this storm's raging. St. Cedric's thunder, you say? That's the lightning battery. St. Cedric's thunder is used to store the power of a single thunderclap. Alchemists have been trying to harness this power for centuries, and there are rumors that some have indeed successfully used it to transmute base metals into gold. They are placed on top of mountains to charge them during storms. Gemstones can be used to prevent the charge from waning over time. So the center part, while it may seem like a non sequitur, might imply that whatever we're looking for is at least partially gold, which does immediately make me think of a few items we currently have in stock. Ones that could potentially double as lightning rods. Though the gems do also seem like an important factor. Either gems or slots where gems could go. Blue gemstones. Let's look those up real quick. I feel like that's... Those aren't aquamarines, it's something else. Kyanite. An anchor between body and mind. Well, that definitely doesn't sound like what we're looking for. So I'll say that's probably not it. Oh, well, hold on. We do have amethyst mentioned as a stone of containment. So in theory, something with purple stones? Like this box? A bit on the nose, and definitely not like a lightning rod, but it is a container with stones of containment. No gold. But we do have a symbol. Like a sideways S with a slash through it. Let's look that up real quick. Oh, wait. Well, we'll come back to that later. Don't want to immediately sidetrack myself. And there it is. The sideways S is, in fact, the symbol of thunder. There you go, ma'am. Yeah, I was really expecting something a bit more spire or pole shaped, like an actual lightning rod. Thaumic needle. Thaumic needles are controversial items that are rarely used. They could reach into the mind of the recently deceased to give an impression of their thoughts before they died. Curiously, the weight of these tall items decreases when heated. Interesting. Which I guess we'd test by, like, holding it over a candle. Tall, presumably needle-shaped. Could be our gold-laced obelisk or the stone one with the moon on top. Or it could be another misdirect. Could be something tall but not at all needle-shaped. Francesca Robertson, the doctor. I've been trying to get hold of an Ambra. Before she vanished, Verona said it might have something to do with my patients. It had almost slipped my mind, but then I remembered that there's one right here in Strange Antiquities. Eli told me himself he keeps it locked behind an ethereal key. Oh, snap. Are we about to get access to the restricted section? That's some convenient timing. Ethereal key. An ethereal key is designed to be hidden from prying eyes. When activated by moving the object in a circular motion, the key is revealed by its gemstone of light. These are rare items and not generally known about outside of Thaumic circles. Gemstones of the night power the concealment charm. So light and night, that's amber and onyx. Also potentially circular. Oh, okay. Huh, maybe not. I feel like that's probably our guy, but yeah, see, like, I thought that was obsidian on the bottom, but it could just as easily be the onyx. I'm just not getting any response when I try swirling it around in a circle. Oh, there we go. Right. So that is definitely our ethereal key. I just wasn't going full circle. Which is not what you want. You want an Ambra, which is one of these items up here. Achievo, nice. Okay, so let's see here. 2 wood totems, a mounted skull, bunch of amulets, one of which must be our resonant compass because we can see it reorienting every time we move it around. Pointing right towards those wooden figures, which might just be a coincidence. But let's get a gander at the... entry. Ambra. These items cause mental fog, a withering of intellect and thought. They are slow to work, requiring several hours to have any effect. Through prolonged use, they can cause the whites of the eyes to turn black, and the subject to become deeply disoriented. They produce a noctic field. Well, I don't know what a noctic field looks like. It sounds like a subset of Thaumic fields. Perhaps we can match it up via other noctic items we've already ID'd. Selenic Totem and Sleep Vessel. Though I'm not sure if those are actually Noctic items themselves, or simply... No, it says it's associated with Selenic and Noctic disciplines. Though then again, that might imply it has a Selenic field. I feel like I'm missing something, like there's a note or a book that we were supposed to find. Perhaps a letter we've yet to receive. Selenic Totem has like a vertical DNA strand, which is not what we get from this little goblin guy. Or from this guy. Oh, weird. We don't get anything from that one. Okay, no. No, that's definitely not what we're looking for. The resonant compass is pointing towards the figure with the branded face, but I don't know what that means. Let me check the sleep vessel. No, see, that one has a completely different symbol, too. That's got, like, the wibbly-wobblies. Which is, I think, what we got from the goblin. Yeah, that's got the wibbly-wobblies, too. But I don't think that's enough to go on. So downward pointed arrow, elongated with a very pronounced tip. Weakness. Which actually makes that more likely to be the opposite of our Fortinance. That, I think, is our dangerous wooden figurine of weakness. So the fact it has the same thaumic field as the sleep vessel just seems like coincidence. What about the other symbol? Like a rake with a line through it. Right there, confusion, which does sound more accurate to what we're looking for. No idea about the thaumic field, but I mean, this does feel like our best bet. Yes, nice. The item has a symbol of confusion across its face, which matches the description of causing mental fog. Also produces a Noctic field when viewed in the thaumic lens. So I guess the swirly is the Noctic field? So at least we now know what that one looks like. Pit. The three different elements that make up a pit allegedly represent the earth, the sun, and death, or darkness. The Dradic, the Diurnic, and the Noctic. These energies balance in such a way that the objects do not produce a recognizable thaumic field. They can be directed to emit powerful vibrations, capable of cracking solid rock. No discernible Noctic field. Sounds like our bird skull there, and we did catch a glimpse of a bird wing in the illustration. Though the mention of the various elements, earth, death, or darkness, those imply gemstones, which the bird skull lacks. Plus, the bird skull is pretty tall. It could be our Gaudian needle. It does match one of the illustrations of Gaudian objects. And you know what? I just realized there was a thought I had earlier that I wanted to go back to, which was these. These right here. You know, I was puzzling over what those secondary switches on the thaumic lens did, because the symbols just kind of seem to be all over the place. They didn't match any of the other symbols that we had throughout the book. But in retrospect, that does actually seem like the way we're meant to differentiate thaumic fields. So maybe if we load one of those symbols into our lens, we can see what happens. Especially since we do now know what noctic fields look like. We'll have something to compare the results to. Give me 1 sec to match up the symbol. And there we go. Yes, if you create the appropriate symbol, it shows you what the field looks like, which is very obtuse. It's time-consuming trying to match up the symbol since you have to keep cross-referencing the book. But you can see the field it displays is identical to the one that we also see if we put the ambra on top of the lens. So yes, we now know how that works. Fantastic. Moving on. Next. Bonnie Robertson. You. I know you from somewhere. I don't remember why, but this shop was important somehow. I'm sorry, I know I'm not making much sense. I haven't been myself. I'll leave you be. Okay. Have a nice day. That's probably fine. Next. Peter Leland. They found some poor soul washed up on the lakeshore. An older lady by the sounds of it. Oh no, I hope that's not Verona. Drowned. But that's not the worst of it. Her eyes were all black, just like those others. I'm not taking any chances with the water around here. I'll take a bones guard. Well, shoot. Things don't sound good for our occult scholar. You know who that reminds me of? Oh. I'm afraid I can't pay you, but I can offer a trade if you'll accept it. Sure. What you got? Oh! Handy. And end of day. Well, that's certainly not horrifying. A stone hand in a gold and wood cup. Crisscrossed grooves across the palm. Cold to the touch. Feels like something distinctly ominous, but... oh yeah. It chills my blood to hold it. Well, we'll just, put that on our idle hands display. Man, somehow that one's even creepier than the Hand of Vecna. And, yeah, you know who this little guy reminds me of? Greg from A Night in the Woods. For those of you who've played it. Man, poor Verona. Also, we still have no idea who this last key player is supposed to be. Which is strange, considering we're over halfway through the campaign at this point. And potentially have our first casualty. Oh, right. End of day, sorry. I was, contemplating. End of day 11. The rider was lucky. He made it to Backbarrow and found refuge there, and was nursed back to health. He would later discover his left eye was permanently blackened, like his partner's eyes had been. Which does seem to confirm it was our relic hunter who escaped with the sarcophagi. So it's a good thing we kept him alive if he's the one who potentially knows its whereabouts. The sun, the sun, the sun. Oh, also moon. It's the daycare attendant. To my left, the day. To my right, the night. Day 12. Monday. And, I mean, I don't even have to really mull on this one. I know exactly what we're looking for. In searching for the previous dream card, I did note that several of these tombstones have sun or moon motifs. Oh, right there. Day to the left, night to the right. But we'll save that for next time. We're already running a bit long here, so best to go ahead and call it here. Huh, actually looks kind of nice outside today. But we can see red sky in morning. Sailors take warning. A storm's a-comin'. Which does make sense. We're into the final week of the campaign. That said, we'll hit the pause button for now. I'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, and we'll pick up here next time. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Miri V23, Revenant, Alois, Arrow Bowman, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, Random Passerby, Robbie B., Thomas Piatkowski, Trip Hop and Skip, and Valenrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.